It was one of those gray, dragging afternoons that hung over New Jersey like a damp sheet. The kind of day that smelled like wet asphalt and rust, where everything felt just a little behind schedule. I was supposed to meet up with Miles at his family's garage to help clear out some old equipment. He'd been saying for weeks his sister wanted the back corner sorted before the next delivery came in. Nothing major, a couple busted toolboxes, an old jack, some bent shelves. I wasn't expecting much, just another way to kill time in a summer that already felt wasted. Miles had texted me that morning, "Lexi wants to reorganize the shop. You down to help?" I said sure without thinking. I didn't have anywhere better to be. By the time I got there, the rain had started. Not pouring, just steady enough to soak your hoodie if you stood around too long. The air smelled like oil and cleaner. The garage itself was one of those corner shops that had probably been there since the 80s, cracked floor, buzzing lights, tin walls that rattled when a truck went past. Miles was inside, already knee-deep in boxes. "Thought you'd bail," he said with a grin. I shrugged. Didn't have a good excuse. We worked the back wall, shelves sagging with junk no one had touched in years. The space smelled like damp rags and old rubber. Quiet except for the rain on the roof. That's when Lexi walked in. "Do you want to chat with me or see some of my exclusive stories and content? Check the link in the comments." Now, let's continue the story. She wasn't dressed up, just a gray sweatshirt with the sleeves shoved past her elbows and a pair of jeans streaked with grease. Her hair was tied up, but a few damp strands had slipped loose around her face. She looked tired in a way that sat in her shoulders, but she still carried herself like she knew where every socket and wrench belonged. "Hey, Leo," she said, tossing me a pair of gloves. "Thanks for helping out." I slipped them on. "Beats sitting at home." She smirked faintly and passed by me to drag a shelf back into place. I'd known Lexi since I was 12. Back then, she was just Miles's little sister, quiet, smart, a bit guarded. After their dad passed, she stepped up, helping their mom run things. Somehow, I'd never thought of her as anything more than Miles's sister, until that day. We were moving a box of rusted tools when it happened. She leaned over to grab the edge, and the shelf caught her sweatshirt, tearing a hole near her shoulder. She glanced down, laughed. "Figures. My favorite one, too." She brushed at the dust, like it didn't matter. I laughed with her, but when I looked up, I noticed the tear, the bare skin beneath. She caught me looking. Not long, just a beat, but enough. She didn't look embarrassed, just aware. Then she chuckled again and kept moving, but something hung in the air after that. Later, when I bent to lift a box, I lost my balance and dropped hard to one knee. "You good?" she asked, already walking toward me. "Yeah," I muttered, brushing my jeans. She reached down to help me up. It should have been nothing, just reflex. But when her hand wrapped around mine, warm and firm, I froze. She didn't pull away right away, and when she finally did, my fingers felt like they still remembered hers. "Don't tell Miles I almost tripped you," she said with a crooked smile, quieter than before. "He'll never let me hear the end of it." "Don't worry," I said, trying to smile back. "Secret's safe." We worked another hour, but the rhythm was off. I kept catching myself noticing her, the way she tugged her hair back with the back of her wrist, the curve of her shoulders when she bent to check a box, the way she muttered inventory under her breath. I hated that I noticed. And I hated how natural it felt too. When we wrapped up, rain hammered harder outside. Lexi handed me a towel, thanked me again, then disappeared into the office. I walked out with my chest tight, like I'd been holding my breath all afternoon. That night, I lay awake replaying it, the laugh, the torn sweatshirt, the way her hand lingered on mine. After that day, nothing went back to normal, but it didn't exactly change either. Not loudly, not all at once. Just shifts in the quiet places. Miles picked up extra shifts, so it was usually Lexi and me in the afternoons, cleaning drawers, rearranging shelves. Sometimes we talked. Sometimes we didn't. But the silence didn't feel empty. She started leaving a key for me behind the breaker box. Small, but I felt it. She brought me coffee sometimes, always the same way, sugar, no cream, like she'd known all along. Once she left a donut on my toolbox, still warm. I said thanks when I noticed, and across the shop she just smiled, that soft half-smile she used when she didn't want to explain herself. Little things stuck. The way our shoulders brushed when we both reached for a wrench. The way her fingers lingered half a second too long when she handed me a rag. They were nothing, but they weren't nothing. One rainy Thursday, while wiping down tools, she asked, "Leo, do you ever feel like you're just drifting?" She didn't look up when she said it. Just kept folding the rag. I hesitated. "Yeah," I said. "Like you're moving, but not really building anything." She nodded. "Exactly." Then she set the rag aside and walked to the back without another word. But the question stayed with me for days. I started seeing the cracks in her, the way her eyes lingered when Miles was late, the way she paused mid-movement sometimes like she was remembering something heavy. She never said it out loud, but I noticed. One night, while locking up, our hands met on the door. Neither of us moved at first. She looked at me, then down at our hands, then back up. "Drive safe," she whispered. I nodded, but I didn't move my hand right away. Neither did she. When she finally did, it was slow, careful, like she didn't want to let go too quickly. Another Saturday, Miles had plans, so it was just us. She asked me to help swap out a flickering light. I climbed the ladder while she held it steady. One hand on the base, one lightly on my ankle. It should have felt normal. It didn't. When I climbed down, she was closer than I expected. We stood there, breaths apart. I thanked her for steadying me. She looked up, eyes searching. "Anytime," she whispered. I don't know what came over me, but I said, "I haven't stopped thinking about that day." Her face softened, her shoulders dropped. "I know," she said. "Neither have I." Her hand reached up, brushing the collar of my shirt, her fingers grazing my neck. I leaned in slowly, careful, giving her the chance to step back. She didn't. Our foreheads touched first, then her lips met mine. It was quiet, tentative, but charged with everything unsaid. Her hand lingered on my jaw. Mine rested at her back. We didn't pull each other close all the way. There was still space where all the wrong lived. When we pulled apart, she whispered, "We can't." I nodded. "I know." But neither of us moved. For days after, she went quiet. No calls, no texts. Miles joked that she was buried in paperwork, but I knew it was distance. When I finally saw her again, she said softly, "I don't regret it. I just don't know what it means." We sat on the garage floor, backs against the wall, not saying much, just letting the silence fill in what words couldn't. Later, she told me I need time to figure out what this is or isn't. I said, "I'll wait." She nodded, turned away, and just before I left, she whispered, "Don't forget it happened." Summer ended the way summers always do, without permission. One week we were sweating through our shirts, the next the mornings were cold. I left for school. She didn't say goodbye. I didn't either. Whatever we had stayed there, tucked between boxes and shelves, between words we never said. Months later, I still thought about her. The torn sweatshirt, the touch that lingered, the kiss that never found an ending. We never named it. It wasn't a relationship. It wasn't an affair. It wasn't even a mistake. It was just something that lived in the quiet between us. And sometimes, that's enough to haunt you.